again, going into the last hour of Olympus. This is the final hour. We're only playing for 3 hours tonight. I know, sad. Oh no. But we're gonna find out what the hell is going on here, and hopefully make our great escape. So as long as the party doesn't, want to become embroiled in holy wars. What? Sorry, I didn't say that. Moving on. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hi.
So, Megan, we're playing for another hour and a half.
Nope. I mean, you guys play how long you want, but I have...
Go stay at the ship.
This is true, part of the reason.
You might need the ship shortly.
Fuck.
Gogo's keeping it warm.
Devin, are you back? Devin, your mic's muted. I don't know if you know it or not. I don't know if you know your mic's muted. Devin, if you don't know, your mic is muted. Hey, Devin. Devin, psst, 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 psst.
And before your kitties respond?
They almost do. Hi, Devin.
Hello.
Cool. So, rewind about an hour and a half. And we see Oscar and Fortune sitting in these pews, right, in the Grand Cathedral. And we see up front where there is this large, podium that has been brought out into, the center. And there's a place for the choir up on the back wall, and there's probably soft hymns coming through, and it's all very churchy and religious, and however you picture basically the Christian / Protestant / Catholic almost religion to look in your brain. That's kind of what we're envisioning here. And there are various people kind of milling to and from. It's quite packed in here. You can see there are quite a few students as well, but there are quite a few common folk who from the city have gathered here. And clearly this building is not nearly enough to hold everyone in the city. That would just be ridiculous. But it is large enough to hold, maybe 2,000, 3,000 people inside of it. And so it's kind of noisy because there's nothing really going on. There's people just chatting back and forth, hey, how was your day, blah, blah, blah. And the two of you actually have gotten seats somewhat close to the front because you are guests of Raquel. And so you guys are sitting, I don't know if there's any conversations. Yeah, top, middle, front, exactly. No, top right front, or top left front. That's what it is. So you guys are sitting, I don't know if is there any conversation before everything gets started, or are you guys just kind of, okay, we're here, gotta wait for the thing to happen?
Man, I don't know, in this environment, I think it would be just the occasional, did you see his hat?
Yeah. Totally. What about Fortune?
It's so tall.
Fortune?
Devin, are you muted, Devin?
Is he?
I muted myself.
Oh. I thought maybe you were actually asleep.
No.
No, it's Danny.
Yeah, this is Danny. Fucking Danny.
Probably the same, just small chit-chat, people watching, nothing important.
I mean, I expect there's really good people watching happening right now.
Yeah, right. And there's everybody has a holo program too, right? They were given a holo chip at the front door that has a list of things that are on the agenda, right? If you attend any religious ceremony or anything like that on a holiday or whatever, you have an agenda, a program.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so, it's probably man, did you see, how do you pronounce that name? What is that? yeah, totally. So there's a lot of that going on.
Nice.
Eventually, the kind of din dies down a little bit, and we see that it begins to trail off as soon as there are some altar boys and girls that are, come out, and they begin, lining the stage with these like flowers as they're lining the stage, like all from the podium all the way across the. Actually, it's more like a dais or a dais as opposed to a stage, but all across the dais, like along the edge. And eventually, there's that pivotal moment of when the Grand Priest enters the hall, and you, Fortune, and Oscar are sitting there, and then everybody like stands up, and so like intuitively you're like, oh, we're supposed to stand up, okay, but you're like slightly behind everybody else as it happens, right? Because it like takes that split second to realize what's going on, and everybody stands up, and as he enters and he gets to the podium and he holds up his hands. And everybody kind of sits down, and again, like, there's that, like, okay, now we sit down, okay, yeah. So you're, like, a split second behind everybody again, because you guys have no idea what's going on, as is intended. And he begins to speak in a different language that you guys don't recognize, but you recognize that it is we know it as probably. See, what language haven't I used yet? That's we recognize it as probably like Swedish. Like our human brains recognize it as Swedish. But to the two of you, you recognize it as the home language of this particular planet, right? Like, you've heard other people speak it, but you don't really understand it. It has some common derivative words with other languages, so you can like kind of pick up bits and pieces. And he clearly is reciting a prayer, and then at the end he says Amen, and then everybody says Amen, and I don't know if you guys do that. Oh yeah, Amen, yeah, we know what to do here.
No,
or not.
I'd probably just say ditto.
Yeah.
Oscar remains silent, but he's doing like the physical actions.
Right. Yeah. Totally. And so then he begins with, of course, we are gathered here tonight to witness the enlightenment, to accept a new sheep into our flock. And you can hear people from like in the crowd like shouting like, praise God, Amen, hallelujah, the whole like 9 yards. It's not very rowdy yet, but it has the potential of getting there, right? And he begins to I use the word drone, but it may be enthralling for someone who is into that kind of thing. And indeed, the people around you are clearly like kind of waited with bated breath for this sermon he begins to teach. And it's in in English, right? And the gist of it is, bringing wayward folk into the fold, showing them the light of God, etc., etc., etc. And then he actually the part that maybe you guys perk up to is he says, and our lamb tonight, she is the bravest of us all. She has traveled here from distant planets to join our flock under threat of sure death, to be accepted into God's arms. She has come here to join us. Come forward. And
at sure death, Oscar just looks over to Fortune and then looks back at the altar.
Yeah,
like,
the look is shared.
Yeah, and so as you see, for the first time, probably not like in the least amount of clothing that you've ever seen her, you see Raquel come out. She's wearing a suit that is not hers, not what she brought, but maybe it was in her bag, right? Like maybe it was in her ruck. It's very clearly like fitted for her, but it's almost completely transparent and very form-fitting, like a typical TL4 vac suit. She comes out and she's dressed in like ceremonial garb underneath of this suit that you can see like the collar poking up, and the torso is covered, but you can see like the long flowing robe from underneath, and then the boots that seal the rest of the vac suit off. So it's very kind of weird, like almost looks like she's wearing like saran wrap around her outfit in certain occasions. And there's cheering and applause as it comes. And you can see when she gets up to the... she walks from the back. When she gets up to the podium, she gets on both knees in front of it and clasps her hands together, like places them together in like a prayer, as if she were praying. And then when she speaks, she clearly is mic'd up, right? Like she has like a microphone in her suit. And she says, "May the Lord guide me down the path that he has chosen for me. For better or for worse, I come to become enlightened by the Lord. Oh, please, great priest, enlighten me." And she repeats a few other lines, and you can hear in the crowd some people like repeating with her. So it's kind of got this weird like echoey sound when she says it, and it kind of echoes off the stone walls a little bit, and then other people are like reciting with her. It's very clearly like the ceremonial thing to say. And once she's done saying her piece, the grand priest, he says, "Now, my child, what is it that you relinquish to become one with the Lord?" And she says, "I relinquish my protection, O great priest." And you can see she reaches up to her helmet and she twists it, and you hear the psss, and she takes the helmet very slowly off of her head. And she takes a very deep breath of the air around her. And for the two of you, because remember, the other people in the audience probably have like no clue what the fuck is going on, right? Like they do not understand the gravity, but the two of you do, right? Like the two of you understand exactly that there has never been a case of these people being able to survive, of Priamese being able to survive in other atmospheres, ever. It's not written as an instant, like they don't die immediately, but like within 24 hours of breathing exterior atmosphere.
That's what I was going to ask. Is there like a studied case of how long?
Yeah.
So yeah, that answered the question.
It's basically within 24 hours. Yeah. And so like,
all right.
this all happens like in slow motion as you guys see it. And I want to know what Oscar and Fortune, are you guys unfazed by this? Because again, like you said, your job is completed, right? Like it's done. You're just here kind of out of courtesy. Or is there anything in there that's like, that's probably bad?
That's probably fortunate. And I'm like, well, that's stupid.
Yeah, and
that's probably the extent of it.
Oscar, when Fortune says that, Oscar just turns to him and says, "I would not have done that if I were her. No."
And you can see, like, with that, and then she like, slides the rest of the vac suit off, and you can see the ceremonial robes are very beautifully... It's a very beautiful, like, gown that she's wearing. You can see as she stands up, she's, like, beaming. She's got a beaming smile, and she looks elated. More so than you've ever seen her. And there's just gratuitous applause. And you can see the Grand Priest comes around, and he pulls out this stone. It looks like a piece of glass, and it's almost all black. And he says, "With this piece of the mountain, I bless thee, my child. You are now enlightened." And he places it over her head, and you can see where there's like almost like a drip of water that runs down the bridge of her nose, and down her face, and then another one. Maybe it was ice or something that he used, or whatever this thing is. It's not like blood or anything. He didn't like stab her in the head, but yeah, and just the chapel.
I thought this was gonna get interesting.
Yeah, the chapel just explodes with like joy and just laughter, and there's people crying because it's so moving, and like, you know, there's clapping and applause and cheering and just all kinds of craziness. Like the din, it's almost like overpowering because the building is obviously designed to... The acoustics inside of the building are designed to amplify everything that is said, right? So like it's double what it should be. And they kind of like, she is then escorted down the middle, and greeted by like all of the people that are standing there and enlightening her, and you can see that when she gets to like the common folk, they actually like some of them actually kneel like before her, almost as if she is royalty, right? Like there are definitely some very strong acts of deference in her regard, and you can see she looks like it's at those occasions where she's like, she like looks around not knowing what to do, but the Grand Priest is like escorting her, and he's smiling and having her do all of the right things, and eventually when they get to the end, they walk back down the middle of the aisle to the forefront, and the Grand Priest raises his hands and he says, "Come, now we celebrate, people." And everybody begins, cheering and jeering again. And then the power goes out. And all of you are dumped into pitch blackness.
Hand on pistol.
And you hear there are quite a few people who scream, right? Like, ah! There's quite a few women that scream, and quite a few men that are like, what? And then like it takes a moment for like you hear whispers of like, what's going on? What's happening? Is this? You hear like some people say like, is this part of the ceremony? What's going on? What is the reaction besides the hand on pistol? What is your reaction, Oscar?
Do I have any capacity to see in like low light?
No. You would need go-go for that.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. How dark is it?
So again, this is a planet. The only light that is currently bleeding in here is coming from the surrounding buildings. And this being a stone structure with very few actual windows in it, like the windows that it does have in it are probably like stained glass.
So do people on this planet actually like respect situations like this, or does everyone basically already have their compat out?
I mean, like, here's the thing. I'll remind you, this is also a colonized planet. It doesn't have infrastructure like other places do. So that's why people aren't necessarily, like, panicking, because they probably run a lot of things off generators here. Like, there's not a whole lot of infrastructure built up yet on this planet.
Mm-hmm. Is it unreasonable for me to have saved one or two of the torches that I... You
mean the thermal flares that you have?
Yeah, the flares, yeah.
If that's a thing that you think you would have come to the ceremony with, yeah, sure, you can have them.
Oscar always has, like, a minimal amount of... Like, he doesn't have 20 on him, but he probably has one or two.
Sure.
Like, yeah.
Just in case.
You're a Boy Scout, always prepared.
Oscar is not about getting caught with his pants down in a situation like this. This is, yeah. So he cracks open a flare, and maybe he
and so
just holds it up physically.
Yeah, and I assume that is like very shortly after this occurred, like enough time to like evaluate, grab a flare, crack it, and look and see what the hell's going on.
Yeah, after a couple of seconds, like after it's clear that emergency lighting wasn't going to kick on.
Yeah, no, the power is like
or
completely
like it wasn't a brownout or something.
Yeah, the power.
You don't want to be the guy that immediately cracks a flare when the power flickers.
Yeah, and you're not the first one to like turn the light on the compad, and like there's flashlights kind of like meandering around now, so you're probably the only one with a flare per se. But there are other people like with lights out, like, what the hell's going on? I don't understand. And you hear the Grand Priest says, "Everyone remain calm and seated. I'm sure that the Justicars will be here shortly to return the power to us. Do not let this dissuade the joyous occasion which has occurred." And I think he tries to make a joke. He's like, "The Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away," and you can hear some smattering of laughter throughout the crowd.
Like the three people on the front row, probably.
Right, exactly. Yeah, exactly. The three guys in the front row.
Those same individuals.
They're actually the same people. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So does it seem like the majority of the crowd's still very uneasy though?
Yes, it does definitely seem like that. And the flare is like when you first cracked it, like you had to like squint a little bit because it's bright in the darkness. But there's enough people with like flashlights and stuff out that it's not super obvious. Besides the fact that there's a bright red burning flare.
So are people like lighting candles and stuff now?
Yeah, and I think that like
am I still the only source of light?
After about 2 or 3 minutes, you can see that the Vestals and priests and priestesses around the altar children, I'll call them, they're running around with like candles and they're starting to like pass them out and light them, and like it's becoming a candlelight vigil essentially at this point.
Yeah, it's oh look, we planned this.
Yeah,
Here,
it's an impromptu candlelight vigil basically is what's going on. And people are slowly becoming like, oh, this is perfect. It must be a sign, right? Like this is perhaps we are to enjoy the darkness tonight or something. Like people are trying to make light of the situation. So the power, it's been about 5 minutes and the power hasn't come back on. Do the two of you like remain?
Is Raquel still in the building?
You haven't seen her. I mean, since the power went out. She's probably up front somewhere with the Grand Priest. You could like go up there and look.
Well, yeah, they weren't like ushering her out of the building, right?
No, they kind of. I mean, they would prefer everyone to stay kind of in the area so we can make sure that everybody is accounted for, right? Especially since like getting caught outside on this planet is basically death.
Might be death.
Right.
Yeah.
Do I? So at this point, Oscar's spidey senses are kind of tingling, and he's like kind of scanning the area. He definitely wants to like try and pinpoint whether or not there are any additional exits or entrances that might, because it's a big stone building.
Yeah,
it's kind
of there are a couple of entrances. There's a couple of side doors in the actual grand hall area that lead outside. There's obviously the big giant doors in the back, which are closed currently. Like they closed them for the ceremony so that everybody could hear and everybody wasn't freezing to death, etc.
Yeah.
And then like if you go into like the rear of the building where all of the facilities are, there's probably multiple exits and entrances in and out of that, right? Through like there's probably a kitchen and like a couple of classrooms and a bunch of other stuff back there. But you can't see that like right away. But there's probably like 4 entrances and then the big doors in this great hall that you're in currently. And then there's a multitude of like big giant stained glass windows. Up at the top, there's probably like regular windows to allow like shafts of light to come in when the sun is out.
Okay, and you said that I can't see either Raquel or
with all the candlelight and the flashlights and stuff going around, you get like snatches, right? It's like whatever you're looking directly at might get a flash of light, and then whoever's using that light puts it somewhere else, and it's hard to see more than like 20 feet from around you. And you guys were back a little ways from like the stage and stuff.
I'm probably not doing anything. If everyone else seems like it's a relatively common thing, I'm probably not too agitated by it, so I'm just relaxing, kind of. Well, I'm not in fight or flight mode yet. But.
Cool.
So I think Oscar is kind of. I don't think he's necessarily up on his feet or anything, but he's definitely ready to move if something occurs.
You're coiled like a serpent.
Yeah. You know what? No, he's not sitting there. He would definitely, if you said it's been like 5 minutes.
Yeah, it's getting longer and longer now.
Right. So he'd be up, and if not going to speak to the head priest, he'd at least be going to, like, I'm sure there are ushers. There's
a bunch of ushers
there are
out
people
now,
collecting money.
All of the priests
the people stationed there.
All of the priests and priestesses are like arrange and seeing if anybody needs anything, and there's tons of people to like that quote unquote work here that you could talk to.
Yeah, so he does the little like sideway, the crab walk scoot out of the pew.
Yep, totally.
And he makes his way over to like whoever's at the nearest entrance.
There's probably someone like right there, like as you get out of the pew, like, oh, they probably even say something to you. It's probably a woman. She probably says, "Oh, may I help you, sir? Do you require any water?"
He says, no, thank you. No. Is this usual? Should we...
She kind of laughs and, like, recognizes that you're a foreigner. She's like, oh, you must understand, the planet was colonized, after the silence. God led us here, but unfortunately man has designed the tools in which we use and not God himself, so they occasionally fail us, but I'm sure that the Justicars will restore it soon.
Justicars?
Mm-hmm.
I'm pardon an ignorant off-worlder. You see, I am here just to see the glory of this ceremony. What do these Justicars fulfill? What service do they provide?
They act as protection. When we first colonized this planet, the animals here could be quite, well, vicious. Their order was started in order to safeguard our colonists from them. They have since evolved into, I think other places may call them police or military, but we don't like to use such harsh words. But even peaceful societies such as us have our enemies. But because there is not very many of those, the Justicars serve many roles. They are in charge of construction and also maintenance of most of our infrastructure.
I see. Is there any... He kind of steps a little bit closer to whomever this is, so he doesn't... He's not aiming to alarm anyone, but he steps a little bit closer and he says, is there anyone who might object to this ceremony?
And she says, oh my, no. Especially not anyone here. I can certainly say that there would be no one who would object to such a...
Please, not... I don't mean in this room. I mean anyone.
She looks a bit confused and she says,
hard.
I'm not sure that I follow. I'm terribly sorry, but to think that anyone would want to harm the church for spreading peace and love, that would be difficult to believe, although there are dissidents among everyone.
There most certainly are. Yes, it's a terrible thing to think of, but
okay.
I had to ask.
So while this conversation is going on, Fortune, I want you to roll me a roll me a perception check based on wisdom. I need a 6 or higher, just a basic success. Perfect.
I see things.
So while Oscar is having this conversation with this woman, slightly behind, you're monitoring him and everything else going on. Slightly behind the entrance, kind of towards the rear of the building, you see the door kind of open from the outside, and you notice basically because the light is a little bit jarring as it floods into the room, and you see 3 individuals enter. They speak briefly with the usher that was at the door, and the usher nods and kind of goes running towards the front, and you monitor him, and the three men have taken up a position at that door, and the usher goes running up to the front, and you kind of lose sight of him in like the light. But the stage is fairly well lit now, and you can see the Grand Priest is like speaking with a couple of the priests and priestesses. And the usher runs up there, and the Grand Priest nods, and he says, you can see him nod once, and you can see him like kind of give a return message. And then the usher runs back to those men, and when he gets back to those men, he's carrying like a bigger candle, and you can see these men are Justicars, the same as I described the 3 men in the 3-man pods to Gogo and Boomer, or Gogo.
Okay.
One of them is very clearly strapped across his chest with the exposed weapon is a light machine gun kind of strapped to his back.
Okay.
And you can see him. The usher returns the message. The 3 men they kind of look at each other and they nod, and then they leave. And the usher returns to his post, standing by the door. And then the Grand Priest, and this kind of ends the conversation with you as well, Oscar. When this happens, the Grand Priest says, "Ladies and gentlemen, I'm terribly sorry for the inconvenience. I've just received word from the Justicars that there appears to be some grid problems. We ask that everyone, in an orderly fashion, as orderly as possible, come as close to the stage as possible and away from the grand entry door so that they can bring in some supplies. It is possible that we may not be able to let people return to their homes tonight. I'm terribly sorry. If you have family, feel free to call them. Let them know that they can come here for shelter, as long as they are safe when they are coming." And I think the both of you read between the lines. And
yeah, I probably give Oscar that sideways look. Like,
yeah,
what?
it appears that they are not allowing anyone to leave, which you would have found out earlier had you tried to leave.
And they're at the main entrance.
And they are essentially asking people to tell their families to come here to shelter. And I assume that sends up a lot of warning flags. And then, with the 2 of you looking at each other like, what the fuck do we do about that? We see Gogo in the cockpit firing up the engines, right? And Boomer's like, and I think we get probably Oscar. You get a boop 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 on your compad.
Yeah, he answers it.
Yeah, and
He's
it's Boomer.
Kind of made his way off into a little alcove.
You could put your earpiece in and only be heard. By Boomer, and he says, "Hey Oscar, what's going on out there?"
He says, "It's not good. They appear to be, at best, keeping the entire church hostage. At worst, I don't rightly know."
So with the word hostage, Boomer looks up at Gogo, and he doesn't key up, but he says, Gogo, what do you want to do?"
Well, we kind of have some precious cargo, so we need to get this up in the air at the very least. Yeah,
I agree.
I
think he messages back to. Well, I mean, since I don't want to do this. Boomer says to you, Gogo. He tosses you the compad, and he says, "All right, I'm gonna go see if we can slip a little bit extra into the engines, just in case we need to get out of here fast. I'm gonna see if Chan can help me," and he leaves.
So, Oscar on the comm says, "This might sound crazy, but what do we do with Raquel?"
Leave her. We've delivered her. That's it.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Never mind.
What was that?
I was going to ask if I was close enough to hear anything of what you're saying. But
no, I mean, I expect we're all on.
You could, if it's group cons, Fortune, you could be sitting in the pew with your feet up, but have your earpiece in and be listening in to the conversation at the same time.
Yeah, when you ask that, I'm probably like, What do you mean we're done with her?
Yes, strictly speaking, but Fortune, you and I know this is likely to get messy.
Well, I'll deal with that when it gets messy. I'm good at cleaning up messes.
Listen, we don't owe this girl anything. We delivered her. We did it. We did our job. We have precious cargo here that needs to get where it needs to go. At your earliest convenience, get the hell out of there.
You hear Boomer cursing, like you hear like clung 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 clung, and like you hear Boomer like, Chan, no, the other tool. That one. Yes. Give me that one.
He's probably like, how many times have I told you the hammer doesn't fix everything?
Yeah, that's his contribution to the conversation.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
okay.
well, should we try to get back to the ship?
So I think that Boomer probably says, because nobody actually said this to Gogo and Fortune yet, or to Fortune and Oscar yet. Boomer probably goes, oh yeah, I think eastern side, there appears to be some skirmishing going on.
Explain?
Gunshots. We saw some gunshots. Guys, can we speed this up, please?
Yeah, okay, it's time to get back to the ship.
Yeah, and that's the point where Oscar and Fortune are like, oh wait, there's actually something going on?
Yeah. Okay. So Oscar asks, on group comms again, he says, what is the closest you can get to us?
Sorry, you really asked Gogo that?
Gogo can take this fucking ship right through the building if she wants to.
I'll meet you out front.
No, he's...
Yeah, so like...
Yes, Gogo, but away from the gunfire, I mean...
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, like there's two...
You'll be able to see us, I promise.
There's like two legitimate options. Either you could go land in like the courtyard of the academy area, or you could try and do like the hover at a certain level while Oscar and Fortune teleport, I'm sure, into the open bay door of the ship or something like that. Like,
well, I don't think it's quite that dire at the moment from what
from
the little information that we are getting from their end and from the little bit that we've seen, it doesn't seem quite that level yet. So landing in a spot that they can at least see us if they were to open the door, et cetera, would seem to make sense.
Yeah, the only issue being, if these people are indeed under attack and a foreign ship flies towards their religious symbol and lands, there is a good chance the Justicars will not have any leniency in that. Just consider that for a moment.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's also
real well. It's gonna be fine.
I mean, light machine guns are not going to pierce.
Cargo.
Yeah, light machine guns are not going to pierce the armor of the ship. I will tell you that. But
and then Jordan introduces the Justicars with rocket launchers.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say.
I would also say, somewhat importantly, we're on a psychic predominant planet, and Oscar can do some damage to ships. So
yeah,
just gonna throw it out there. It might not be a rocket.
Yeah, they might be throwing themselves actually at the ship.
It might be quite a bit more acrobatic and messy. But yes, how about so he says, can the courtyard, we can make it to the courtyard, I'm sure. We can't you're right, we can't risk the cargo.
On it, and then goes out.
Cool.
So I probably poke my head up from where I'm sitting and find Oscar in the church, and I'm like, just point to the door, like, yeah.
He says over comms, not like audibly. He says, there must be a back door. We're not going to go through the Justicars.
I'm like, you don't want to try what's that over there, and then walk out?
I do not relish being shot.
Again.
To each his own.
Cool.
So
Fortune.
I'm gonna go follow you.
So yeah, so there's a couple of like, you guys are good enough. I'll probably require maybe a stealth roll from one of you, to just seemingly unnoticed slip towards the back facility area. Because remember, the 4 doors and the main door in here are that's where the bulk of the people are. More than likely have a Justicar contingent out front of them, right? You would know that,
we can do this the noisy way too. I'm fine with that.
Yeah, you could just take out one in the head and then just leave. Yeah,
Well,
absolutely.
From what I saw, all we got to do is kill one because he's got the machine gun.
Yeah.
And then we're dead.
So what, Fortune? What's your stealth skill?
0. But I have a +2 for dexterity, so.
Yeah. Correct. So why don't you make the?
Okay.
Can I assist in that since we are doing this?
Like throw rocks one way so they look that way.
You can assist, Oscar.
Dude, I
need an 8 or better.
Topple a religious artifact across the room without anyone seeing what did it. Yeah, we can. So I'll roll first.
Yep.
Yes.
I need an 8 or higher.
Nope.
No. So you do not get an additional +1, but you got a 9, so you're good.
A 9. Hi.
So, Fortune, you're able to through active stealth. Maybe you're able to like
have chloroform and cloth.
No, you don't need that. It's not to get out of the. It's not to get out of the doors, right? You have to go find a back door.
Okay.
It's mainly to navigate the back of the facility without having suspicion thrown upon you.
It's like the weird side bathroom for the pastor off the front
right?
that, like, for some reason has an exit.
Yeah, exactly. So you're able to slip into the back, and you begin walking through like the facilities back there, which you hadn't seen before, right? Like you guys haven't been in here yet. But I want to flash back to Gogo. So Gogo, you got the ship all powered up. You're ready to fly out. Are you going to like just kind of get ready and then go on a signal, or do you want to go over there like as soon as possible and hope that they get out soon enough?
Coco's not very patient, if you haven't guessed. So I think she's gonna head over there right away.
Okay, cool. So you take off the ship. The ship begins to rise.
It's on us if we're too slow.
Right.
Kind of, yeah.
And it's early enough in whatever is going on that like people haven't like taken notice. Like they're still. You might be like the only people, only because Boomer rolled an 18, that actually like have a rough idea. Besides, obviously, like the Justicars are probably on communications, and talking about it, and you get off into the you start flying like kind of over the city, and you're following like the flight plans that like a normal like aerial vehicle would follow, and you know that based on like the map, that entering into like that close to the church or the academy is like a no-fly zone basically. Like you've been shown that, and you know that's TL4, so they're tracking movement, like everything that goes to and from. Hovering outside of it will work for a time, but if you enter into that barrier, somebody will be alerted that somebody is flying a relatively large ship towards that area.
I mean, I know that like Oscar said, you know, meet us in the courtyard because he couldn't come up with anything else. But I mean, at Gogo's discretion, please do anything else that makes sense.
Well, I was gonna say, do I see any more shots? B, do I see like I mean, I know they're probably tracking my movement regardless, but do I see any other, like, upon going over to this area, because I'm probably just doing it from memory, do I see a more reasonable spot to be that wouldn't necessarily alert people immediately?
You could also head directly towards the giant building if you wanted to, because you wouldn't have to do it from memory.
No. Wouldn't that give more suspicion? I don't think I understand what you mean.
Okay, so I had assumed that you were taking off from the docking port and flying towards the church to rendezvous.
Yeah, but then probably the only thing that I could have think of and that other people thought of to land in was the courtyard.
Right.
From memory is what I mean. But upon actually getting to this area, do I see any other place that I'm like, hey, that was probably a good idea, but this place looks better currently in my current situation?
I think, honestly, this is... I think this might actually... And Oscar's going to kill me. I think this might be like a tactics roll, to be honest.
Okay.
To understand
sure, I get it.
Where the best place for extraction would be. That sounds solidly in the tactics based on wisdom category. It's a basic success. So you'll get one other option besides the courtyard. You could reroll.
What was that, Devin?
You haven't rerolled.
What was that, Devin?
I think he's saying you could reroll.
No, I rerolled that. I rolled that.
Oh, I didn't want you to roll at all.
I know.
Meg also can. But
okay, so...
So they're not outside. Once they get outside, they can try a skill check to figure it out.
Sure. Yeah, okay, so I'm rolling tactics with wisdom.
Yeah,
Yes?
Jordan, I was just rolling because I have a plus to roll for tactics, so...
You gotta do that, but then stick around until 8:01 to make sure that you can use your second.
Alright, here we go.
Yeah, roll it up. Holy
Nope.
Shit.
So here's the thing. Gogo thinks she sees a good spot.
Would you
and
like
it goes
to re-roll
horribly
that?
wrong. Yeah, clearly.
Okay. You've only got a -1. That's not horrible. You could still make a 6 on this.
Can I, just because I can I argue that because I've spent so much time with two amazing tacticians that I would have gleaned some sort of help in determining...
If you had spent so much time on this planet with those two amazing tacticians and they could have taught you where some of the areas might be.
Okay, I tried.
Listen, Oscar couldn't even figure out where the church was. So
a 5 is close, but no cigar. No, the courtyard is the easiest place to... So I think that what happens here is you as a character probably forget that Oscar could probably teleport to you. So you're like, okay, I gotta get on the ground. Where's a good place to get on the ground? And there's just too much cluttered shit around the church. And the courtyard is like the only area where you can land this damn thing. You might crush an ice sculpture, but at least you'll be on the ground and they can run up the docking ramp.
Yep, fair enough. Makes sense.
Yeah, totally. So, you, again, you know that, so like, you would have enough knowledge to know that you would flag the system as soon as you flew into the no-fly zone, which is basically at the edge of the academy grounds, right? But you would definitely have time if you, like, depending on how long it takes the others to get out, right? Like, that's the key. If it doesn't take them that long to get actually out of the church and make their way over there, you could hang out right outside the no-fly zone, dart in, and then try and get the fuck out before anybody stopped you.
Yeah, no, I think my goal would be to get, obviously, as close to that imaginary border of no-fly zone, stay there. I assume that from that point I can see into the courtyard.
Yeah,
with
totally.
Mechanical means. Okay.
Totally.
And just wait for a sign.
Right.
And then dive in, pick them up, dive out, extract.
Yeah, wait for the go-go, as it were.
Indeed.
Cool. So, leap back to Oscar and Fortune. You rolled a decent stealth check. You rolled a 9. So I think you've probably like found a robe or something that you can like quickly like throw over the rest of your shit. So you look a little bit more in place. Oscar, yours is like a cup, like it's like 6 inches too short. So it's like a little above the ground, and you can see like your shoes or whatever you're wearing underneath, like sticking out a little bit. But you're covered enough, right? Like it's sufficiently that nobody's really paying any mind to you. And the lights are also out, right? So you have actually an advantage there. So you're going like to and from, like, you know, trying to find an exit. And again, you do probably find that that singular exit. But I want both of you to roll me a I want a different check this time. What do I want? I want a Oh, I know what it is. So you find a door that like you can see it's got like a little little glass portion above it. You can see that there is there's or you can see the outside, right? You can't see like the ground or anything around it. And you get to the door, and the door appears to be secured, locked in some way from the outside. Who knows why it's locked from the outside, but it is.
Does it look like an electronic lock?
So it is an electronic lock, but it's like a mag lock, right? So there's an electronic portion, but it appears the magnetic portion has been disabled, right? Because the power's out. So it's like the equivalent of deadbolted at this point.
Okay.
So I guess I shouldn't say it's electronic. I should say it's mechanical currently.
Yeah.
And I suppose we didn't walk around the perimeter enough for me to intuitively know what's on the other side.
Specifically not.
Okay. Yeah.
I try the handle.
Yeah, so the handle turns, but it's like clearly like deadbolted. Now you could go loud, right? And Oscar could just blow this thing open without too much concern, or you could try and like go a little bit more stealthy and roll me a security check with dexterity.
I sure could do that.
All right.
Yeah, please.
So Oscar, do you like? I got this. Step out of the way.
Well, yeah, I think he
actually
thinks.
Let me role play this a little bit. I probably come up on the door. It doesn't open, so I just pull out my gun and point it at the deadbolt.
Right. Yeah, you're just gonna blow the. Is it your energy revolver? Right. You're just gonna blow. You're just gonna melt the lock off.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Oscar just says, "Well, hey, hold for just a second. I've seen one like this before. Let me just give it a try first."
Yeah.
Oh, all right. I put it back.
So you're totally gonna like pick the lock with telepathy, right?
He's giving it like a little poke on the internal,
looking for the pins.
Yeah, right. So he's kind of jostling it around.
Sure. Yeah. Roll that check. An 8's good enough. If you had gotten a basic success, I would have allowed you to do it, but would have complicated the situation. So an 8 is good. You're able to, after a few moments, like, Fortune, you're probably like looking down the hallways, like, I hope nobody's coming, and all of a sudden, and it opens up.
So by the end of it, Oscar's just like, by the time it clicks, when like a dog is trying to understand people talking to it and its head is cocked like all the way to the side. Yeah. Like Oscar's just standing at a weird angle, and then you hear the door click, and he straightens back up, and he nods out.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you're physically turning what you're trying to do in your mind.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay, and this one left and this one right.
And you pull open the door, and you can see that the wind has picked up a little bit, so snow is kind of blowing a little bit, but there doesn't appear to be anybody outside. Oscar, you like poke your head out, and it looks all clear.
Yeah, I guess they kind of go out in the same fashion. Like, Oscar's kind of glued to the wall.
Sure, you're gonna skirt like the edge
moving
of the
along.
Church.
Yeah, and they
jumping
probably
shadow to shadow.
Yeah, they probably don't want to go back past the entrance, so maybe they just pick a point to just
like go out to and then cut around, right?
Yep.
Yeah, totally. So I need you both to roll me a luck save.
Oh, mine's good.
Yeah.
It's technically a pass.
Oh no!
Fortune.
So you guys are maneuvering around. You hit. You get out and you're running around some buildings, and you can see there's a couple other people like walking around, like, oh, what's going on? Why is the church so dark? Like, you're kind of in like the general populace now, right? But you're like maneuvering there, and you go around a corner, and Oscar, you like in the secret, you're like teleporting like to different locations, right? Because you can. And so Fortune, like, you go around a corner and boom, you slam into someone, and like you go toppling, and the other person goes toppling, and gets up and like is like, oh my god, I'm so sorry. Like picks up he's got like a satchel bag, and you see him like pick it up, and you see like some groceries or something that he picks up. He's like, oh my god, I'm so sorry, are you okay?
Yeah, watch where you're going, come on.
I'm terribly sorry. I'm trying to get back home. And he picks up all the stuff, and he kind of scurries past you, and then you continue on, but you have to find Oscar again, right? So you gotta like radio him or whatever. and find him.
Oh, well, I don't think that I would have left him too far behind.
And so, so what you see as that happens, Fortune, you're like, you get up and you like collect your things, and you go to walk off, and you see there's a group of Justicars that you were delayed just long enough that they come around the corner and they look at you and they're like, "Hail, priest, do you need assistance?" And they kind of like walk over, and you see they're actually carrying their weapons at the low ready, right? They're not like they don't have them like strapped to their back. They're actually carrying them like at the low ready, including the machine gun guy. He's got it like flipped around to the front, but like still pointed downward, but like in the position where he could bring it up and hip fire it if he needed to. Yeah. And they're like, "You should really be inside, priest. Here, come. We'll escort you."
My home's that way. I'm good, thanks.
No, I insist. The streets are much colder tonight than normal.
I'm all right. I've been here a while. I'm used to the cold. I'll see you later. And I start walking off.
Yeah, you start like walking away, and you see like Oscar. If you like, you pop back in and you look, you see this scene go down. You see the two like look. You see two of them like look at each other, and they're clearly like they like shake their heads, and they begin to shadow you, Fortune.
Okay.
Okay.
Do I know that?
They're not
obvious.
Yeah, I mean, they're not being secretive about it, but they're not, like, they don't appear to maliciously be shadowing you. They're giving you the respect you deserve as they assume you to be a priest, but they also are ensuring that you get home safe.
Okay. I'm alright with that. I can work with that.
Okay. So you head, like, so you're, like, heading in the building. So, Oscar, you can't, like, making contact would probably be bad at this point, right?
I don't disagree with that.
Okay, yeah. So they're like shadowing, and like they get over.
We are still on comms, correct?
Yep, correct. You could talk to them.
Okay. Yeah. Or they could talk to me, and I could talk in some sort of fancy coded message. So they just think I'm talking to myself.
So I think if Oscar is aware of what's going on and it's at a distance, he would just say, "We're going to the courtyard anyway. Lose them in a building."
I say, no problem.
Okay, totally. So, how would you like to lose them based on your stealth again? Because you'll have to re-roll stealth.
I think first I would like to try to walk up to a door that looks like a house and be like, "Well, this is my house."
Just try and go in and see if they. Yeah, totally. Sure. Yeah.
Can you?
I need you
Jordan,
to roll me.
Can you describe just super briefly what the is this wooded right now, or are we like walking through?
They're plasteel buildings. Everything is there's a vast array of buildings, and there's just a bunch of plasteel buildings with alleyways and stuff. But they're all like prefab buildings, right? Because it's a colonized planet. There's very little structure that appears to have like been built here. It's a lot of stuff that's been like shipped in and pieced together.
All right.
But yeah, no, totally. So, what I'm going to need you to do, Fortune, if that's your goal, I need you to roll me a persuade check based on charisma to see if they believe you or not when you get to a door.
Here we go.
Ooh, no. So yeah, so they get to you and they're like, very well, dear priest, the night is very cold. And he keeps saying that phrase again. He's like, "We will stand guard outside for you tonight to ensure that the bitter cold does not get into your door."
I probably give him like the squinty eye look and like, all right. And then is the door unlocked?
Sure. Yeah, it's unlocked.
Okay, good. That would have been great. I can't get in. You mind opening the door for me to my own house? So I go inside and I close the door.
Yeah, and so you go inside and the house is dark. Clearly this was someone who is in the church. There does not appear to be anybody in this house. But now you're inside this house, and you can hear just outside the door the men are being directed to go protect the house, right? And so you hear one guy like kind of walk around to the front or to the back door, and one guy is like patrolling around the outside. And so you have a little guard now.
Nice. Probably not what I want. Is there roof access to this house?
I'm sure that you could make roof access. Yeah. sure that you can make roof access.
But I'm not trying to be loud.
Yeah, no, you could totally try and like, yeah, there's probably an attic that you could like get up into.
Let's over comms, you just hear Oscar say, "Time's ticking."
Yeah, go. Flashing back to you, I know that you're still here.
Speaking of time.
No, it's okay. We're almost done. You're standing outside. You're ready to just walk out of the house anyway. You're fine. You're standing outside.
Devin and I have like a whole extra hour of shit we want to do.
Yeah. Go for it, but
It's fine. We're almost there. So you know it's getting close to time, like where people might start questioning this giant fucking freighter ship hanging out outside the no-fly zone. So like maybe you pipe in with, "Hey, motherfuckers, we gotta go."
With some sort of inappropriate emoji afterwards for both of them.
Yeah, cucumber or eggplant.
All right, so I go up in the attic.
Yep. So do you want to? You could gain access to the roof. Are you going to try and use stealth now to get away from these guys?
Well, I had a brilliant idea of opening up the front door and be like, "Hey, what's that?" But no, let's try stealth.
Your persuade check went great.
Don't turn this into like a Three Stooges episode.
Yeah.
Okay, so roll me a stealth check based on dexterity. Well, I think these guys are they believe that you were a priest, so they believe that you were in your house, but they also believe you need protecting.
Yeah.
And so I think a 7 is enough that you can get out and like hop to a building and like hang on. And there's probably a moment where like a little bit of snow like falls off the roof of the like opposing building that you tried to jump on, and like the guy like comes over and he's like looking at it and he looks around, and right as you scramble up over, you see him like look up and like trying to figure out where it came from. And then he just kind of shrugs and goes off. So eventually, the two of you make it to the edge of the courtyard. And from here, there's no doubt that, like, you running out into the courtyard is going to be very visible, in addition to the large freighter ship that's going to come land and pick you up in the courtyard.
Yeah.
That's fine.
It's okay. It's only going to take a few seconds anyway.
Right.
Let's go.
So, Oscar, you and Fortune finally get there. Fortune is, like, taking off his robes because fuck that shit. They got me in trouble.
Yeah.
And Oscar, what's the go word?
The go word?
Yeah. What's the command? You can see probably the exterior lighting of the ship like kind of hovering.
Oh. Yeah, I think he pings Go-Go with their coordinates and says, let's get the hell out of here.
All right. Go-Go.
Put her down.
You dart in, and I need you to make me a vehicle space check, please.
Using what?
Dexterity.
Okay.
In this instance.
Oh yeah.
Oh shit, yeah.
No fucking problem.
So like you
listen.
Sure you don't want to reroll that.
You whip it in there, and like immediately you hear the klaxon go off on your comm panel, like you are entering a no-fly zone. But you don't give a shit. You silence it immediately, and then you whip it. You drift, and you hit the ground, and you slide a bit of the way, and the loading ramp's coming down at the same time, and it stops like 6 inches short of one of the ice sculptures. And Go-Go and Fortune and Boomer, Fortune and Oscar, good lord, you guys like start running, right? And you see that she's managed to pin it in between every single one and not hit a single thing as she just like slides it into place.
I'm probably like running, and I slow down running a little bit, looking around like, how the hell did she do that? And then I start sprinting again.
It doesn't look like it should fit. And immediately you start to hear the bell starts ringing from the church, right? Bong, 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 bong. And Oscar and Fortune, you guys see as you're running, you see like movement coming from the direction of the church towards the courtyard area. Like, what the fuck? Everybody's coming, like, what's going on? But you guys, having successfully done all of your stuff, you run up the loading ramp, you close it, and it's still closing as Go-Go begins to lift off. And you can see there's a bunch of Justicars that begin like raising their weapons, but like they're not sure what they should do. Right? They're like, what the fuck is this? Like, we didn't expect this to happen. And Gogo, you're able to maneuver the ship. It goes up, and you begin in a straight vertical lift towards orbit to get the hell out of here. And that is a perfect place to end for the night.
Boo.
Nice. All right. Well, now that I saved your asses, I'm out. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Have a good time.
I'll put experience on her character sheet for her. So, congratulations, you guys escaped the planet.
And I didn't have to kill anybody.
I mean, you escaped the ground. Let's put it that way.
But yeah. We don't know what's attacking this planet yet. So.
There may be
flying right at it.
Yeah, there may be other things going on that you're unaware of.
Oscar is definitely picking his fights on this one. We're just gonna go.
Seems like a good idea.
Yeah, I don't know what we're fighting yet, so I don't like going in uninformed.
Indeed.
With an enormous. Let's not forget that we're carrying a, pre-tech.
So everybody get 500 experience. Congratulations.
Woo!
And that's it. I hope you guys had fun. Next week we'll probably have another player.
Hooray!
It more than likely will not be Danny, but we'll see. But yeah, no, we need to get back up to 4 for sure.
Yeah.
And that means I get to kill Boomer, so it's great. So
I thought that was gonna happen this week, actually.
No, not yet. You're actually gonna find him drowned in his still, and then there's gonna be a murder mystery to figure out who did it. Which one of you guys, or Stanley, or Chan?
My money's on Stanley.
He lived as he died, or he died as he lived.
Exactly. Fantastic. I'm gonna do the outro, and I'll see you guys later in just a second if you're hanging out.
Yeah. I can hang out a while.
All right, stream. Thank you for showing up. It was a lot of fun. Hope you guys had a lot of fun as well. Sorry for the shortness, the briefness. Only 3 episodes or 3 session or 3 hours. I'm glad I can't talk, man. Only 3 hours tonight. Because Megan had to go watch Sherlock because she's a nerd. However, I will see everybody hopefully tomorrow for some Darkest Dungeon stream. Woo! That's all I got. I hope you all enjoyed tremendously. If you like what I do, hit the follow button or the subscribe button, or go to Twitter and follow me there. It's all Maggie Games. You can find me everywhere under that. And I hope you guys had fun. I had a lot of fun, and we'll see what the repercussions of escaping this planet under duress are next week on Olympus Rising. Take care, everyone. Bye.